Welcome to the Pro Gamers Guide podcast. My name is Brian Saviano. I go by BricksOBrian across the internet, and I am the author of Pro Gamers Guide to Healthy Habits. Over the past 15 years of making content, I've learned a thing or two about what it takes to actually make this content, and I wanted to take an opportunity to talk to some of my favorite people within the family-friendly content creation space. The vast majority of gaming content out there is not family-friendly. There's only a select few people that I look to as friends, as colleagues, as awesome people that I want to learn more about, and that's what the Pro Gamers Guide podcast is all about. This is a limited run series brought to you by the supporters of Pro Gamers Guide to Healthy Habits on Kickstarter. With their support, we managed to raise over $32,000 to bring this project to life, and I couldn't be more thankful for every single person that backed the project. The first guest on the Pro Gamers Guide podcast is somebody I've known for a longer time than some people may think, a creator that many of you already know and frequently ask, Mr. BricksOBrian, when are you going to do a thing with them? And I'm finally glad to say that time is now. I got to sit down and talk to my friend. I guess we're friends. I don't really know. But I got to sit down with Mr. Zebra Gamer to ask him about what it's like to be a content creator. So let's dive in. So for all the time that you've been doing this, Mr. Zebra Gamer, I've been like, how does he play all these games with Hooves?
It takes a lot of practice and determination, but if you set your mind to it, you can get anything done. Got to be pretty quick with it. And I drop my controllers all the time. I'm sure plenty of people have watched my videos. They'll just be like, I drop my controller. You'll hear that pretty often. But
right, but it's with the sunglasses too. So it's the Hooves, it's the sunglass. Like obviously you have the reflexes of a zebra because you are Mr. Zebra Gamer, but like I commend the passion and the commitment to the Hooves, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sometimes I will take the glasses off, especially if it's, a dark day outside, it's raining. It's a little hard to see the sunglasses, but can't really get rid of the hooves.
Right. And the sun sets lower now that right now it's wintertime. So that makes a lot of sense. So for anybody that is listening or watching right now that has absolutely no idea who you are or what you're about, would you mind telling the people a little bit about yourself, sir?
I'd love to. Hello, I'm Zebra from Zebra Gamer. I'm mostly on YouTube, but all over the place, really. Family-friendly gaming content creator as of 13 years back in October. So pretty big milestone, I guess. But it's all just about playing games and having fun.
13 years? We are the ancients of the YouTube realm. We are like 1 foot in the grave by comparison of these whippersnappers, man.
We're withered and gray.
the black and white zebra stripes are just going to turn all gray as we get older across doing content. What's it like to be doing this sort of thing for so long?
I think it's an interesting experience, right? Because not only did I've been doing it for so long, but I started when I was so young. I started when I was 13 years old. So now I'm 26. It's been more or less half my life. So it's so much attached to me. It feels like it's my baby in some way. Like I created this, this channel and everything. That it's cool to sort of have grown up with that. It was PlayStation 3 was the newest console, and the Wii, I guess, the Wii wasn't out. So it was like the Wii, Xbox 360.
Right. The Wii U, man. Remember those dark days of making content where all we had was Paper Mario Color Splash? Oh my goodness.
I mean, I think I like Color Splash more than you did.
Dude, you can't even... You can't pay me. I mean, you probably could, but you can't pay me enough to go back and complete that game. There's multiple levels that are copy and pasted or like reversed. Why on earth do you make this type of content that you do? Content for all ages, sticking mostly to Nintendo with a little sprinkling of Minecraft and definitely a lot of Plants vs. Zombies. So how did you find yourself in like this arena specifically?
I mean, at first it was just this cool idea of, I want to play these games and I can talk about them and share that experience. And that alone was enough for me just to want to do it. And I would just do it with whatever game I was playing. At first, it wasn't necessarily that I was or wasn't family friendly. It was just how it sort of fell into it. And over time, I noticed more and more that a lot of younger audiences are enjoying my videos. So that's when I really embraced that and made that like a big focus for sure. When it comes to the games, they're sort of just my interest in the games. A lot of these Nintendo and, family-friendly PlayStation games and Minecraft, they're just, in my opinion, the most fun games to play and record.
Right. And there's a lot of creators, especially as you get to like our age right now, because we're around the same age, that, they're going to play Minecraft or Mario or Zelda, and then they're going to take it in as a 26, 27-year-old guy, right? I'm going to appeal to that demographic instead of appealing to a younger audience. So why do you stick with that even nowadays? Is it just embedded in you, or Is it a moral thing? Why keep it family friendly now?
I think it's definitely it's multifaceted answer, right? I think first off, it's really touched me how our community has grown and how younger audiences have really attached to that. I'll get messages from parents all the time about how much the content means to them and how there are fewer and fewer creators, it seems, that have those escapes but are still appropriate. So like that means a lot to me, and I want to make sure to honor that. I feel like maybe I have more of a child nature at heart, and it just feels more natural. I don't really feel the need to make inappropriate content. It wouldn't be something I would normally like say in that situation.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree. I say it all the time because these games are not necessarily only for kids, but they're definitely marketed with, very a very colorful color palette and characters that are approachable for all ages. So it doesn't make sense, at least for me, to want to swear during that and kind of ruin that magic in a way, in that Disney kind of magic. You know what I mean? Like not
Yeah.
breaking the experience. So I'm glad we kind of we align with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously keeping the content interesting for all ages is within, my attempt, but I think overall it just happens to be that it's really enjoyable for the younger audiences too.
Right. So when you're making your content, a lot of people tend to get focused on one game or one type of content, and like staying within it. You do a whole
Mm.
bunch of different types of games. You don't stick with just Plants vs Zombies, even though you could make an entire Plants vs Zombies Mr. Zebra Gamer channel. But we'll talk about that in a second. Why go with different types of games instead of being this one trick zebra in this case of sticking with just one game or one genre of games?
I love the pun, but also uh I think that like first off, it definitely goes down to my personality. I love variety. I love mixing things up, especially with the games that I play. If I found myself only playing one specific type of game every single night, I think I would quickly get bored. But on top of that, I think that in a creator perspective, it's personally just what's worked out for me. If you see certain games, most people aren't interested or playing the same exact games they were playing right now they were playing 5 years ago. And as somebody who's been on the platform for so long, I've seen that pretty often. Channels that were dedicated to Minecraft and maybe that specific niche of Minecraft, either like, that mod they were playing or that map or whatever they were very specified in Minecraft. And maybe that sort of falls out of interest for people and that channel slows down a lot and they're not able to adapt. Or more simply, some people just get burned out on one specific game and then they'll have this sharp change in direction and it really damages their viewership and their algorithm, whatever's. On a creator perspective, it can be good to do variety as long as you have a good idea of what your audience likes, because I think most people are generally interested in a good variety.
Right. And I talk a lot about these
Mm.
YouTube gurus that are out there that are like, hey, you should optimize your thumbnails to be this way and you should stay within this arena and do this and do that to kind of optimize your stuff for this big scary algorithm that's out there. And I think you
Mm.
phrased it really well in that you want to stay within the same arena of what your audience is expecting of you, right? So if
Uh,
you uploaded, Call of Duty Warzone
mhm.
2, how many views and how is that going to be received?
That's exactly the example I want to use. If I was just a Minecraft YouTuber, it's like I'm sick of Minecraft. I'm gonna go play Call of Duty only. It just obviously those two types of games probably don't have the same like audience range. And I think that like even within what I've taught like what I've already done, Plants vs Zombies, great series. I love it to bits, but there hasn't really been a big PvZ game the last couple of years. Everything's been really quiet. If I was just a PvZ channel, it would be a tough couple of years.
And that's something I wanted to go over for a second here. So when I
Yeah.
am like, all right, well, what's Mr. Zebra Gamer up to? And I'll take a look. I'll scroll through the channel and the playlist and stuff. You have thousands of Plants vs Zombies related videos, whether it's the third person shooter game, it's the
Mhm.
traditional Plants vs Zombies. I've wanted to ask you this question for basically the entire time that I've known you. How do you not get sick of that franchise? Like, I like it. I like it a lot, but you do a lot of content on that. How do you keep even one franchise interesting for that many episodes?
I think for a couple things. One, I try my best not to play too many games when I'm not recording. I think that gets me in a better set to just be able to give it my best and really enjoy myself when I am recording. On top of that, I just feel like specifically Plants vs. Zombie games, they make these games with so much content in them. Like the
Yeah, they
first
do.
PvZ1 game, I have like one full 100% playthrough and not like, there's a good 30 or 40 episodes, sure. But when it comes to Plants vs. Zombies 2, Plants vs. Zombies Heroes, the Garden Warfare series, Battle for Neighborville, these are games designed to have a ton of content to them. So it's pretty good that the base game is really enjoyable so that like, if the audience is enjoying it, I'm having fun. There's so much content to cover.
And that you unintentionally brought up something that I feel like people talk to me a lot about, because there are some games that I play that are not family friendly that I would never do videos
Mhm.
on, like God of War Ragnarok. I want to enjoy that for myself, and if I uploaded that to my channel, that conflicts with the brand guidelines, as it were. So you just said I play games a lot on camera, and you get into that proper headspace to do that. So, do you play games for yourself, and do you feel like the obligation to do videos on it takes away from your enjoyment of a game?
Not necessarily. I think that because it's sort of the same thing. Whatever games I would play wouldn't really apply to, my channel. So I don't really feel the need, oh, I should record this. In general, I haven't been playing too many games. Personally, I have some games that I have really enjoyed that like I don't play a ton, but when I get to it, I enjoy it. I'm a big fan of Dota 2.
Oh, geez, I'm so sorry. Whoa,
That's it's fine.
that's a that like the rage that's induced by that game, and I don't know how. Okay,
Yeah, I don't have nearly enough time in the day to be even slightly good or invested in it, but it's something like, I'll watch the international every year.
I was gonna say, yeah, Dota is one of those you have to be at the keyboard, like with
Mhm.
with fully locked in all the time. Over the 13 years that you've been doing this, you have to have a favorite and a least favorite game or series that you've done on the channel. So, do you have any off the top of your head that come to
Oh,
mind?
geez. This is hard to think about because it's just been so many and there's been so many experiences. A lot of times it can also be like linked to like what I might be, going through when I'm making that
Sure,
content.
right.
Sometimes it's not even the game itself, but other struggles going on, like how much grinding does the game require? If I'm having issues with footage or something. One of my favorite series, there's so many to choose from. I think Mario Odyssey is an easy answer just because
Yeah.
not only was it a really fun game, a really great game, but I also think it was sort of the first series I had, it sort of met this mainstream audience where a lot of people were watching it across the different platforms. And it was just sort of the time where it's like, this is getting really serious. I'm going to put everything I have into making sure this content is as high quality as possible. And I feel like if you watch each series from that point onwards, I think personally you see a drastic improvement from like a year or two onward from there.
And that was not in the beginning of your career. That was what, halfway through at this point?
2017, I started in 2009, so that was 8 years in.
So you're 8 years in, and then you feel like, all right, now is the point
Yeah.
where I feel like it's now you can notice the drastic improvement.
Mhm.
I feel like, and this happens to me sometimes too, is like you look and you're like, well, is this working? Is this resonating? And it doesn't happen 6 months in or even 2 or 3 years in. It happens like halfway through. Great to know that it's not just instantaneous, even for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a very popular saying, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
Right, exactly. And
Mhm.
I couldn't agree more, because you got to get in the right headspace to do the videos, and not just from even like the game in of itself, just like life circumstances too. So when you're playing these games and recording so much, what do you do to get into a proper Mr. Zebra Gamer headspace, positive influence and attitude, and ready to tackle it all on camera in front of this community that you have?
That's where it gets into like it's a very, I guess the word's like a very meta question because in a lot of ways I do approach Zebra Gamer as being a camera or a character. When I turn on the camera, it is, something where Zebra Gamer doesn't necessarily have a bad day. I only record when I'm feeling up to it, when it feels right. So I think with that in mind, that's sort of where I really am able to channel a lot of that. And also, like, I have my own home office. I only really think about work when I'm in here to my best ability. That's what I try to create a constructive environment where I can focus on this stuff when it's time to focus on it. And beyond that, I could live a healthy, balanced life outside of this room.
And that kind of touches on, not kind of, that exactly touches on the entire theme of Pro Gamer's Guide to Healthy Habits. So thank you for unintentionally segueing into that. It's not just about sitting in your office all day thinking only about
Mhm.
content. It is getting outside to either hang out with friends or change your mindset on a different thing, just to get that creative juice going. And it can be for anything in life, whether you have a 9 to 5 job or if it's a very creative, intensive job, kind of like what we do. You
Mhm.
need that balance. What are some of the things that you do to recharge yourself so that you're in a good headspace for a bit of Mr. Zebra Gamer recording time?
I think it's always good to start with exercise and a healthy breakfast. I've been trying my best to keep up with those things. Sometimes they're easier than others. I'm not going to act like I'm perfect. I'll have those days where I just can't quite get to it. But I think those are the two big pillars for me that really help.
Okay, so you're not reaching for Hot Pockets at breakfast time every single day.
Nah, nah.
Okay, okay.
For me recently, I've just been focused on the fruit and the fiber. That's always good.
Fruit and fiber. What are we, 45 years old? Jeez. We're seasoned veterans here.
Don't get me wrong, I love a good pizza, but hopefully after the workday.
Any other pro gamer tips that kind of help you get into the headspace for Zebra Gamer?
I think it's also keeping in mind that it's done when it's done. It'll be here tomorrow. We have no limit on how many videos we can make in a day. You know that. Like, it's so easy to reason yourself into working for 12, 13, 14 hours a day. I've had those plenty of times, and very recently, it's still hard to fight those urges to just wake up, go on the computer and work until it's time to fall asleep. There has to be a cutoff point where you force yourself to walk away and go, it will be there tomorrow. Because if not, you will make yourself sick.
Right. And we are entrepreneurs, self-starters. We want to do the very best that we can for the people that watch what we do, because we want to give it everything all the time, right? Everybody who watches me knows that I struggle with those boundaries, because I haven't learned to control that inner urge for me to go out there and keep getting more, and like, just not in a selfish way, but in a way that I want to do all the things in the world all the time because I want to. Like, it just excites me to do so.
No, I definitely am there too. I have the same fear of missing out. I have plenty of pursuits outside of work that I'm constantly dreaming up and trying to do, and then realize I bit off way too much that I could chew, and then I have to reel it back in.
That's what happened with me in the book in 2020. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll write a children's book and I'll get someone to illustrate it. And then it's 2 years between the lockdown and all the other problems I had that it was a much bigger deal than I felt it needed to be. But when it was done, it was fantastic. So with Mr. Zebra Gamer as an entity, as an enterprise, as an empire, as a kingdom, I guess Animal Kingdom, right? It would be a kingdom,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
What would be something you want to do next in terms of a different type of content, or just a different thing? Is there anything you've had on your infinite list of things that you want to tackle sooner rather than later?
I've messed around with a lot of stuff over the years. Recently, obviously, with the different mediums sort of coming out, like things like YouTube Shorts, that's sort of my first goal, is I want to experiment with those more and see what kind of content. Obviously, as time goes on, we experience more content as just audiences, and because of that, we get a different taste on what we want. And I think that's happening a lot right now with things like YouTube Shorts and stuff. We're seeing audiences change.
Has it come up in your own mind, like, hey, I should try doing a proper review, or let me try dabbling back in reviewing some toys occasionally, or other types of things like that? Has that come across the plate at all?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'm always rethinking everything, both to my benefit and detriment. There are sometimes fears in certain things. With highly edited content, there's more, I guess we could call it overhead. And with more overhead, there's more risk. Having this higher edited content, if that content doesn't perform well, that's a lot more I'm putting on the table. So trying to find that balance between what I have is working, but let's try these new things on the side, is what I'm trying to ease into.
And those edited videos, like, maybe some people don't quite know the amount of time and effort that goes into them. It's so much more than I think anybody expects for every little jump cut. Even just editing out the ums and the whats and the everything like that takes way more time. So I don't blame you for wanting to focus on the things that people know you for. And they know you for high quality gaming content for all ages, which is excellent. There's a lot of people who, again, I refer to these gurus that are like, you should show your face. You should be out there as your own personal brand and advocate for that. But in your gaming videos, you don't show your face in a little box in the corner like I do. So what was the creative or personal decision behind leaving your face off of the gaming content?
I'm sure some really longtime fans will remember where there have been times where I've done live streams or I've done older videos on,
I remember those,
different unboxings and stuff, where I have actually done face cam, but it is definitely not something I'm really interested in at this point. More than a creative or business decision, that's a very personal one. At this point, that's not just really what I want. I would love just to sort of be an on-microphone personality. That's what I see for Zebra Gamer. I wouldn't mind maybe messing with different mediums in terms of, I know VTubing is very popular. I wouldn't mind doing something.
Gonna ask you, because you have this beautifully drawn avatar. You get
Yeah.
somebody to make a 3D rig for it. You know, you move, you shuffle around a little bit. You know, maybe that's the next iteration, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and it's something I've kept in mind quite a lot. Life's been a little bit crazy, so it's hard to get to those wider projects, but it's something I'm considering. But when it comes to actually being on camera, it's just not something I want right now. Zebra Gamer, like I've said before, in a lot of ways is a character, and I feel like people hear that and they think bad things, you know? But I think it's not quite the way that like people might take that. It's not that my content is insincere. It's a very pure part of me, but I want to keep it that way. So to do that, I think separating myself from it is important.
Right, especially in a world where there's so many negative things that are happening if you turn on social media or the news, and so you get this wholesome content and a place where people can just turn their not turn their brains off, but they can put on a Zebra Gamer video and know that you're not going to talk about what you paid in taxes when you go on my videos. That's what you get. I'll be playing Pokemon and I'm like, I got a letter from the IRS, here we go. And it's just it's different approaches of like how we relate to our audiences, and each approach is very distinct in its own way. I commend you for sticking to your core values as a creator, as a man, as a zebra, and maintaining that through all these years.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. It's so important to me. And not just like in the corporate sense of keeping a brand, but also the personal sense of I know that this character and that this channel has been a long time escape for so many people. And I want to honor that by keeping it consistent and keeping it what they expect while also bringing new and exciting things.
With all the games that are on the horizon, we're gonna get into some questions that I'm sure like some fans that might be watching or listening would want to ask you, because I know they ask me questions like kind of like this all the time. So, Mr. Zebra Gamer, what's your favorite video game of all time?
My favorite video game of all time has to be Jack and Daxter for the PlayStation 2. It's just one I grew up with. It came out in 2001. I was born in 96. So I was only 5 or 6 years old when it came out. To me, it's the height of 3D platformers. It just has this nice feel to it just through and through.
So I played that. I say relatively recently. It was like 3 years ago, but that's
Uh-huh.
kind of relatively recently when you get to be our age. And I'm like, this game is like 3 hours long. It's a very short game.
I feel like yes and no. It depends. Obviously, if we're going for everything, it's a little bit more. I definitely think it's easier to maneuver through now as an adult than it was a kid, because as a kid, you can sort of go anywhere, at least in that first few sections of the
Yeah.
game. And you just spend so much time going everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I love the game. So how how disappointed were you when it switched from like, oh, here's this really wholesome platformer to like, now there's guns and Jack 2. Here we go. Like,
I was really torn up by that even as a kid. I was like, this isn't the game I wanted.
right. Did you end up playing Jack 2 and 3?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I did series on them way back when. Some of those videos are still up, some of them aren't, so I can't really remember which ones are which now. I've obviously I've played them growing up, and I still really enjoy them. Yeah, I think the whole series, the trilogy, is really nice.
So because they have guns in them, in a similar way, I guess to Fortnite, like they have gun. I mean, those look more realistic. But would the Zebra Gamer of 2022, 2023, would he cover Jack 2 or Jack 3 because of those weapons, even though you love the series?
Those games specifically, no, because not only did they have those weapons, but the darker tone, and more importantly, they did have a couple of inappropriate words.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, so I wouldn't today. But that's always an interesting topic because it's one of those things where it's like obviously we as creators need to keep in mind what might be appropriate, but that's also a household by household thing. What some parents see as appropriate, some don't. And there's some obvious things like inappropriate language that most households are against, but things like even if it's cartoon, weaponry of some sort can be good or bad or fine or anything in between. I had that with Marvel Spider-Man. I think most people saw it and were totally fine with it. I mean, the series got quite a lot of viewership, but I did get a couple messages like, hey, I really didn't appreciate that.
And that's interesting because it's A, Spider-Man. B, there's the movies that some of these families might take their
Absolutely.
kids to. It's very, it's bizarre. Maybe it's because you're hearing it more frequently, like these gunshots from these bandits or whatever. Maybe that was it. But like, what do you think it was with Spider-Man specifically?
I think it was that, it's more of a realistic kind of game. So it is sort of a striking different from what I might normally cover. So it might just be this almost cultural shock of like the different ecosystem that like I'm bringing my viewers to. And it could just be that the context is different from what they expect from me opposed to what they expect from a theater.
That similar sentiment applies to Fortnite as well, probably, right?
Yeah, I haven't really touched too much Fortnite. I played like 1 or 2 rounds and I'm like, I'm not very good at this, am I? But I don't know. It's the one game that I just haven't really touched too much. Maybe one day, but I feel like it probably would sort of stand on that side of, with there being guns and your user. Like I can only imagine if some parents aren't okay with the bad guys using guns and Spider-Man never does, the fact that, some people might not be okay with you playing as a character with a weapon that's hurting other people with their weapons, you know?
I mean, they're cartoony, obviously, but they share more resemblances with like real life guns than most other games do. So I don't blame you for that decision at all.
It's sort of a give and take, right? I've always advised parents should be very involved in what their kid is watching, not just with the channel, but with the game. Because while I can control which games I play, I can't control what content is within those games. And that's where it's always important to check out the rating system, either that be ESRB or PEGI or whatever is to your local region, what those games have. Because a lot of the times I'm playing them for the first time along with viewers. So I think it's sort of like a dual responsibility between me, the creator, and the parents of the children.
In that same breath, though, the amount of times I worked at the Lego store and I saw a stroller with a young child just holding an iPad with whatever nonsense was playing on it, and it's like, man, we gotta have a little more advisory on the content. It's so weird seeing, and saying this makes me feel very old, but this generation of content being consumed, and like I was in Walgreens too, and I saw this this kid was holding a phone and he was on TikTok, and the video was a close up on somebody's mouth swishing marbles in their mouth like an ASMR
Oh
thing.
no.
And I'm like, why is this kid watching this thing? Like, what? Like, how do you feel when you see what's happening on social media now by comparison of how you're trying to keep yourself?
I mean, social media is its own beast and seemingly a very uncontrollable one. I think my own personal way to do that is just to mitigate my time on those things. If there's an app I feel like I'm using too much, I go on my phone and I set a timer on it. So I'm not using it too much. My phone will turn it off when I've done it too much. It just really reinforces how important it is to have different perspectives and to have different options. That was a big reason why I wanted to start the Zebra Gamer website. While yeah, my videos I try my best to make them appropriate for all audiences, I can't say the same for whatever YouTube might recommend next or might autoplay next.
And so let's touch on the website for a second, because I know that
Mhm.
you've been working on this thing for a long time. You told me about it forever ago. You mentioned the goal of the website is to provide a safer place for your audience to consume your content. So is it just like the videos embedded on the website from YouTube? Is it its own thing?
ZebraGamer.com is, like you said, an entirely controlled ecosystem where it's just my own videos. They are not embedded. It is entirely hosted. So that means for people who don't really understand, embedded is like, YouTube is just like a link that sort of reroutes back to YouTube. But this is not that entirely. These are entirely uploaded to the website and are just seen that way. And it was a lot of work to get set up. Luckily, I had a ton of help. I work with Jansen Media with a ton of things, and this is one thing they were super helpful on.
Working with somebody on these sort of videos, a lot of creators that might be listening to this aren't at that point where, hey, I can have this person schedule my social media or edit this video for me. So do you find it's important to have this, for lack of a better term, like a roster of people that you can pull upon for different things? Do you try to keep everything to you specifically, or how do you delegate those tasks or ideas between different teams and people?
Delegation is so important. I think if you're going to be doing any kind of entrepreneurial pursuit, it is something you need to recognize. You can't do it all yourself. Understand how you can work with those around you or meet new people to work with in a productive way. Don't take advantage of people, of course, but doing that and realizing you can't do it all your own is really important. And that's something I'm still struggling to learn in some ways. I'm very protective over the content I make and I always want to
Hmm.
oversee everything.
Yep.
So a lot of the time I do find myself still editing my own videos and producing all my own thumbnails because I just feel like I know what I want from them and I want to learn from doing it myself. So it can be really hard still.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've learned my lesson, and my audience knows this. But earlier this year, I held a charity event for Stand Up to Cancer, where I'm like, hey, we're all gonna defeat 20 Ender Dragons together, all right in a row. And I worked with my moderation team, and they work with Minecraft pretty well, knowing the commands and how to set things up. And it was nothing short of a disaster where people were escaping the battlefield and just basically cheesing the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, this is out of my realm of what I know to do. And it was a very painful lesson where I felt like I had this rug pulled out from under me where I wanted to present this beautiful, grand experience for people to have. We can all play together. We're raising money for a wonderful cause. Like, this is perfect. And then it's all just kind of gone. And I don't blame my audience at all because it was just a matter of me not thinking of everything that I should have or not delegating properly to another team. Has there ever been a moment where you felt that rug pulled out from under you and felt a little, I don't want to say helpless, but a little bit beside yourself on how to move forward?
Absolutely. I think that you brought up some great examples. I myself have had a Minecraft server in the past, and that is so much work. I think people a lot of the time will say set up a Minecraft server so passively, and it's crazy how much work
Right.
can go in that. It is a game development level of
Yep.
care that you need to put into it,
Yep.
especially if it's for a community that's growing. There are so many people who are going to want to be involved and want to play it properly, but they're all also going to be whatever you'd expect from any popular server, either that be people who want to mess with it in some way that's not very helpful. It's just things like that is an entire level of work that feels like a full-time job on its own. And then add full-time content creation, it's a nightmare for sure. And live streaming, I feel like, is another big thing. It's such a group effort when you have this big chat to have moderators and people who are willing to support your community and understand it and what you're after.
I am overwhelmingly grateful for the moderators and the people that are in my community that I can level with and say, hey, let's rally it in for a second. And this is what I wanted to do. This isn't how it went. My apologies. What can I do? What can we do to make it better? And that's why I kind of have these town hall meetings in my Discord. Is like, all right, for the 30 people that really care, like actively really care at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, what do we do? How should we go about doing this? Let me hear from you directly. And getting that
Mhm.
feedback and also tempering expectations a little bit, I think can be very helpful. You could set up this giant grand Minecraft server with custom mini games that has custom coded thing, and it can very quickly get out of control. So
Yeah.
keeping your expectations for what a project is also super important, whether it is a Minecraft server or writing a book or making a different type of content. So I think you
Mhm.
you phrase that perfectly. Not getting too ahead of yourself in that way, and that's super important.
Having an understanding of scope is something that I think the majority of people have to learn the hard way.
And speaking of like learning the hard way, right? So there's going to be people that look to us for advice. Who have you looked toward in terms of inspiration? Because now we're in multiple generations of content creators
Mhm.
in a weird way, with people like us being on for like 13 plus years.
At this point, it's hard to like name out anyone specifically right now, because it's always been like this little bit here, a little bit there over the course of many years. It's hard to like point towards like one channel or one person. Go, that's exactly what I want to be. Let me follow this. Chugga Conroy and Nintendo Capri Sun, some of the channels that
Yep.
were the first. At the time we called them Let's Play, but now it's a sort of gameplay commentary, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And some of the first sort of super successful channels to do such a thing. So once I saw those concepts, I'm like, that's really cool. I want to try my own. So just to actually see it burgeon into something where you can make it a career, I was like, that's absolutely something I'm interested in. Let me watch as many people as I can and learn everything from everyone. It doesn't matter if they have 10 subscribers or 10,000. I want to see what they're doing, what worked and what didn't, so I can apply it for my own thing. So it's hard to really think of like one key creator.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I am of the same mindset. Like, I look at a lot of what you do and someone like
Mhm.
Abdallah Smash and probably like other, there's actually a lot of people that I'm having on the show that I'm like, all right, you're doing something incredible. I'm not stealing from it because I'm gonna do it differently than you're gonna do it. Even if I tried to copy you in every single way I could, it wouldn't be the same thing. It's just iterating on like your own spin of doing a thing. But yeah, there are so many different places to draw inspiration from with like creators
Mhm.
and whatnot. What
Yeah.
about media? Like what does Mr. Zebra Gamer listen to? Like what creative energy do you get from these other types of content?
It's a good question. I really got to think of the answer because I feel like there's so much. I mean, obviously, video games are always such a huge inspiration for me. So many games where just games that feel handmade are very exciting to me. That was my big love with the original Little Big Planet. Is it just felt so? It was obviously it's a big game by a big company, but it was such a handmade felt game, and like
Yeah.
things like that where it feels sincere, like a person made this and gave it to you. is so cool. And those kind of things definitely inspire me a lot.
So you wouldn't say that death metal music is the inspiration for family-friendly content that you do?
Definitely not really what I listen to in the morning to get ready for a recording session, but it's not that I don't dislike that music. There's plenty of great songs in every genre.
Okay, so we're not going to see Mr. Zebra Gamer in a mosh pit. Gotcha. All right,
No.
just just to set expectations here. There's a lot of games coming out 2023. We know of at least some nuggets of information, whether it's the next Minecraft update. There's Pikmin 4 after being in development for 1,000 years, especially Tears of the Kingdom. So what are you most looking forward to for games, for content, for life in 2023?
In 2023, I'm really hoping to, of course, make my way back into Minecraft. It's been a couple of years since I've really gotten into it, and that's something I know my viewers, the Zebra Herd, have been really excited for, is a new survival Minecraft series. So that is something I'm working on. I've run into a couple bumps in the road, but it's still something I have my eyes set on. Beyond that, like with new games, there's a new Kirby, the new Zelda. I mean, I guess the Kirby isn't new, but you know what I mean. There's like, some new Nintendo properties that are, coming back that I'm really excited for. So that is definitely on my sights. And I think there's the new SpongeBob game as well. So there's a lot of stuff coming out. Yeah, that's coming out, I think, January.
That's in January?
I'll double check. I think they just released the release day.
Oh no. Oh goodness. Probably by the time people are watching this, that's probably already out, and I'm already like, I gotta cover this now. Oh mamma mia. A lot of what I wanted to talk about has been squashed, man. This has been fantastic. The information here for aspiring professional gamers, as it were, fully loaded. This is actually episode 1. So this is going to be really, really cool for people to see. And I know that, there's going to be people that are like, Brian, oh my goodness, you got Mr. Zebra Gamer on a podcast. This is incredible. You finally got to do a thing together. And a podcast is great, Mr. O'Brien. But what about like a gaming video or something, like a Minecraft or a something? And what do you have to say, like a comment on that, Mr. Zebra Gamer? How do you feel about like that idea?
I would be honored to, of course. I think just between us, it's just a matter of scheduling, figuring it out. So yeah, if we work out the details, I'd love to.
And that's what I've been telling people this whole entire time. You are overwhelmingly busy making so much incredible content day in and day out. And I'm thankful that you took your afternoon. So I greatly appreciate it, sir. We will be in touch very soon about whatever happens to come next in 2023 or beyond. Is there anything that you would like to relay to the audience before we get out of here? Any pro gamer tips? Any words of wisdom?
Well, I would just say, first off, thank you to everyone who watches and supports the content. I'm sure Brian agrees that it means so much. We put our heart and souls into this content, and just everybody who decides to click on a video and watch it through, it really does mean more than we could ever express. And beyond that, go buy Brian's book. I've got my copy. I was a Kickstarter supporter, and I love it.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I was packing it up, and I'm like, I feel like I recognize that name, and that's Mr. Z. Let me toss in some extra stickers in there. So I
gotcha. That's where all the stickers came from.
They're right. That's the Brian Saviano extra special sprinkling over there. So I'm glad. Do you actually, like, real talk? Do you like the book? Is it good? Is it cool?
Yeah. I think it's great. Obviously,
right.
The art's amazing. The message is great. I truly enjoy it, and I think you made a great product for everybody.
Well, thank you. I have to ask. I know it's good, but I wanted to ask other people. Get some other opinions. So thank you. I appreciate that. This will this will not be the last time we do a thing together. It's gonna you got to bring it into existence, Mr. Zebra Gamer. It has to happen.
Manifest it.
You got to That's exactly it. You got to believe it's got to happen. Because if you don't believe, if you're not that kid on the Polar Express holding that ticket that's punched out by CGI Tom Hanks, then what is it all for?
Absolutely. I think that's always the creative mindset, is to look at what other people are doing and realize that you are fully within your ability to do that too. It might take a lot of time and learning and practice, but there's nothing that anybody else is doing that you can't do too.
That's a great way. That's wonderful. A wonderful way to end it off. So thank you very much for your time, sir.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'd like to thank Mr. Zebra Gamer for being on the Pro Gamers Guide podcast. Be sure to watch his videos on YouTube, Roku, Kidoodle TV, and on his website. Support him by following his social media platforms. He has plenty more videos on the way, and I can't wait to see what he does next. I have some incredible guests coming onto the show very soon, so be sure you stay tuned in for the next episode of the Pro Gamers Guide podcast. But until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.